name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Cruella. I know I'm a little late on this one, but I didn't get around to seeing it in theaters, and it just came out for free on Disney+, so here's my review now. When this movie was first announced, I had very low expectations, but as the marketing started to come out and the trailers and the posters were coming out, I was just like, oh, this movie actually looks stylish and really fun. So I started to get excited for this movie. And I'm pleasantly still really surprised by how good this movie ended up. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is the best Disney live action remake. I loved this movie a lot more than I was even expecting to, and I was still going in expecting to like it. Well, first of all, I just want to say this, that I never thought that I'd be very attracted to Cruella de Vil, but here we are. Emma Stone is absolutely phenomenal in this movie. She's one of, if not the absolute best actress working today. She was great in movies like Superbad, The House Bunny, and Easy A. But then she also does movies like La La Land, and Birdman, and Battle of the Sexes, and The Favorite. And she's really amazing in everything that she's in, and that is definitely the case here. She brings lots of different layers to her character. Whether she's Estella or Cruella, you can feel like they're two different personalities. But even when she's Cruella, acting like Estella, she still feels like that. And that's just how good she is. She's also super charismatic, and she just brings so much life and personality into this movie. And she's just, simply put, phenomenal here. Like, she's that good in this movie. But Emma Thompson's also really great in this movie. She's great in that Meryl Streep and Devil Wears Prada type of role. But I thought that she made it her own. She feels like her own character in this movie. She's evil and sinister, but you can also tell that she's just having fun with it. Paul Walter Hauser and Joel Fry are also really good in this movie. I thought that they did a good job in the roles that they had, and Mark Strong was really good in his small role that he had. Just all around, the cast does a great job. But there's another star of this movie, and his name is Craig Gillespie. If you're not familiar with that name, he's the director of this movie, but he also directed movies like I, Tonya, which he did an amazing job with. He directed The Finest Hours, $1 Million Arm, and he also did movies like Laws and The Real Girl and Fright Night. The guy's a great director, and I'm shocked that he hasn't become a more recognized name, because he definitely deserves it. The guy is a great director, and it shows here. This movie could have easily been a dull, generic Disney live-action remake like most of them are, but he brings so much style and life into this movie. This movie is just filled with so much energy, and just some of the visuals here, like there's a moment where it goes full punk, and I just love that about this movie. I also thought that I was going to get tired of the soundtrack, but I never did. I actually thought it was really well utilized into the movie, and it helped give this movie its own identity. The score by Nicholas Britell, when you can hear it, when it's apparent, I thought was also pretty good. I would have liked a bit more of that score, but I still thought what we got of it was really good. I also love just how silly and over the top this movie can be at moments. It doesn't shy away from it. This movie doesn't want the audience to take itself so seriously. It's not like, look at this fine piece of art. No, it knows exactly what it is, and it leans into it, and that's what some of the best movies do. At no point does this movie try to be anything else rather than what it is, and that was really well handled throughout. And I also thought the story was great. I had a blast watching the story, and I was very curious to see what kind of different directions it was going to take. This movie is very similar to The Devil Wears Prada in the fashion world kind of way, but there's also some nice heist elements, and I just thought there were so many different elements that were coming into play more and more into the movie that it constantly freshens things up. I was always entertained, but I never got bored, because every 10 or 15 minutes, the movie turns into a different kind of movie, and it does so in a very well-handled kind of way. I also really loved all the characters. They all felt like actual characters to me. They didn't just feel like actors. Whether it be the actors providing enough personality into the characters, or the characters were just that well written. Either way, everyone felt like a really fleshed out character, and I loved how they play around with Estella and the directions that her character takes. You automatically root for her at the beginning because she's kind of an underdog that you automatically sympathize with, and then you just keep rooting for her in that regard, and then just the way that underdog approach is kind of always there, but the way that it gets played upon as the movie develops and the movie progresses, I thought that was a really well done element. I just loved watching her character evolve from where she was at the beginning and where she ends up being at the end. And talking about it now, just thinking about it, like looking at how she was at the beginning and how she is at the end, it feels like a totally different character. But when you watch the movie, you buy each and every single character beat. And there's another name that I have to give a shout out to, and that's Jenny Behaving. Jenny Behaving. So I couldn't help myself. But she is a costume designer for this movie, and she does an incredible job. The costumes in this movie are absolutely incredible. Like they all look really amazing. You can clearly tell that a lot of work was put into them. And I also thought the hair and makeup looked really great in this movie too. If I was to go into negatives, there was one part where someone's like, it's a devil, and then someone's like, it's pronounced a devil, and then Emma Stone looks to the camera and she's like, I like that. And I'm just like, that's a little heavy-handed. And then the movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it does feel a little too long, but at the same time, I was so entertained for its entire runtime that I'm glad we got as much of this movie as we did. Look, I went into this movie with pretty good expectations, but I was still pleasantly surprised. I had a blast with this movie. Just every single thing about it. The cast is all amazing, especially Emma Stone, who's just so good in everything that she's in. She's phenomenal in this movie. Craig Gillespie brings a lot of great style to this movie. He brings a lot of energy to it. It's constantly moving and it's constantly entertaining. The use of the soundtrack and the score was really well done. The costume and the hair and makeup all looked great. But there's also a really good script on display. The story's great and it constantly evolves. The characters were fleshed out. I had a great time with this movie. I wasn't expecting to love this movie as much as I did. And my rating for this movie could go up in time, but for now, I'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm sure you guys are glad that I wasn't too Cruella on this movie, instead of just cruel on this movie. Okay, whatever. But did you see Cruella? Yeah, probably. I'm the last person on this planet to have seen it. But let me know what you thought about it in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.